gathered together. We've missed this the last couple of years, coming down to meet with you guys and share these cool raptors with you, and hopefully send you home with a little bit of education and things like that. Everybody in the back hear me okay? Cool. Not a big microphone guy. I have a microphone mouth, so that works for me. My name is Rob Hults, and I'm the founder and the executive director at Open Door Bird Sanctuary. With me, I have some very awesome people. I have Tony with me, I have Amy, and I have Bee. And all wonderful volunteers at Open Door Bird Sanctuary. And without our volunteers, Open Door Bird Sanctuary would not exist. So although I try to thank all of the amazing people involved with the sanctuary every chance I get, after our program or when they're bringing birds around for you guys to meet and stuff, tell them thanks for me too, just for doing what they do, because they're an amazing group of people. Open Door Bird Sanctuary is a private nonprofit organization, and we are located just south of Jacksonport, up in Door County. We have a mission at our sanctuary. It's two parts. The first part of our mission is to give a home to raptors, to birds of prey that cannot be released back into the wild. So when they come to our sanctuary, it's a forever home for them. They're all birds that came from a rehabilitation center because they had a disability from an injury that prevents them from living in the wild. And if you're a hunter, like a hawk or a falcon or an eagle or an owl, you need virtually all of your abilities to hunt and to survive. If they lose a little bit of that ability, and I'll give you kind of a good example. If you have a red-tailed hawk sitting on a branch, that red-tailed hawk sees a bunny going along in the meadow down below and says, "There's today's lunch, I'm going to get that bunny." And he times it and he waits till just the right moment to fly down and catch that rabbit. When that red-tailed hawk commits to catching that bunny and leaves the branch to go get it, he's got about a 15 to 20% chance of actually catching it. 1 in 5 at best. You know, we think these raptors are just the ultimate hunters that are successful in everything they do. And that's a perfectly physically capable red-tailed hawk. Well, if they have a wing that doesn't work quite right or eyesight is not perfect, that 15 to 20% might drop down to 10 to 15%. And if they get a little hungry because they didn't eat today, that might drop down to 8 to 12%. And that can be the difference between life and death. So at the rehab centers, if they have a bird that cannot be released back into the wild, they have two choices: euthanasia or finding a home like ours. So we try to give as many birds a home as we possibly can. Right now, myself and our wonderful staff of volunteers are taking care of 19 raptors at the sanctuary. Everything from a adorable little screech owl about this big up to a bald eagle that's about this tall, and everything in between. We are open to the public every summer Saturday. We have general admission hours, and then all the other days of the week throughout the year, people can come to our sanctuary and visit for a private tour. We do those 7 days a week. They do need to be reserved in advance, and we do have over at the table here, we've got some information and literature after our program today. Please stop by. We've got lots of wonderful hands-on artifacts and things like that, so don't be shy. Come on over and see all the fun stuff we brought along for you guys to see today. Now, migratory bird celebration. So this to me and to all of us crazy birder people and the people that just love backyard birds and enjoying nature and seeing nature, this is a wonderful, wonderful time of year because it is migration time. So the birds we brought with us, we wanted to really feature on birds that move around a lot. You know, not just birds that live in one tiny little niche their whole life, birds that go out and do things and move around. And before you get to meet some of the special visitors today, I want to find out what you guys know so I know what I can get away with. All right? So to me, a bird is one of the special, most coolest animals that live on the planet. And birds are different from all other animals. So somebody, and you don't even have to raise hands, somebody just say out loud, what makes a bird different from all other creatures? What do you think?
Fly.
They can fly. Yes. If we were all sitting outside right now and I said, everybody look at the bird, you would all look up. Because that's just for us. Birds and flight are synonymous. They go hand in hand. We're just together like that. Do all birds fly?
No.
No, they don't. Are birds the only animals that fly?
No.
No, there's other animals that fly too. But boy, when we think of a flying animal, it's a bird. So here's the tricky question. Do all birds have wings? That's a thinker question.
Yeah.
Yes.
They do, yes. All birds have wings, even if they don't fly. And you'll see some completely unflighted birds, little kiwi bird. You look at that and you'd say, this bird does not have wings. They do have tiny little vestigial wings left on their body, but even birds that were so common that don't fly still have wings, and they use them for very important things. A penguin does not fly. I'm kind of glad. But penguins don't fly, but they have wings. They use them for flying through the water. Ostriches don't fly. Kind of glad they don't either. But ostriches use their wings for balance when they're running 35, 40 miles an hour. They use their wings for ornamentation, for attracting a mate and things like that. So wings are still really important, even if you don't fly. Anything else you can think of that makes a bird different, that makes them special from other animals?
Feathers.
Feathers, I heard right up front here. And feathers are the #1 answer. If anybody asks you what makes a bird special, feathers is the #1 answer you can give. And feathers are what we call a diagnostic. It means that the only creatures that exist that have feathers are birds. If I said I found an animal that lays eggs, could you tell me what kind it was? Yeah. Could be a reptile. Could be a bird, don't know. Could be a fish, could be an amphibian, don't know what kind of animal that is. What if I said I found an animal that has 2 eyes on the front of their head? Could you tell me what kind of animal it was? Probably not. Lots of animals have 2 eyes on the front of their head. What if I said it had sort of scaly legs? Could you tell me what kind of animal that was? Nope. But if I said all those things, 2 eyes, lays eggs, scaly legs, and it has feathers, could you tell me then? It's a bird. So that's what a diagnostic is. It means feathers belong to birds, birds have feathers. That's it. And feathers do everything there is to do for a bird. They keep them warm when it's cold out. They keep them dry if it's wet out. If it's really dry outside, those feathers keep their skin humidified. They do everything. If a beautiful 2 mornings ago, first time in my yard, I saw scarlet tanagers. One of the most beautiful birds out there. Oh, just this vermilion red color. They're gorgeous. That's because of their feathers. If a bird wants to be colorful and be seen, their feathers do it. If a bird that you never ever see out in the wild, some of the owls and the little brown sparrows that are so good at hiding, when they want to hide, feathers help them hide. So yeah, feathers are everything to a bird. Anything else you can think of makes birds special? I touched on a couple of them. So I'm going to give you 3 things, and you tell me what ties them together. Beaks, laying eggs, and hollow bones.
Birds.
Yep, all things that are attributed to birds, but what's the common thread that puts those 3 things together? Beaks, hollow bones, and egg laying. A bird's need to be lightweight. So, birds have hollow bones to keep them lightweight, and for the most part it's for flight. And birds have beaks or bills. which are very, very lightweight. They're very strong, very sturdy. They do a very important job. You know, birds can't afford to have a big set of choppers like I got. Teeth are the heaviest things we have in our body relative to their size. Birds can't afford to carry all that weight around, so they've got these awesome beaks. And egg laying. You know, birds can't carry all the weight of young inside their body. They have to set that weight aside constantly. Now think of a wild turkey. Love them or hate them. Nobody's in between, I know. People either love wild turkeys or they hate wild turkeys. But, you know, wild turkeys can lay 15 eggs, have 15 young ones. Can you imagine if mom turkey had to brood all those young ones inside of her? I remember my mom when she was pregnant with my little brother. She wasn't going to fly anywhere. 15 young ones. So they take that weight and they just continually set it aside to keep them agile and mobile. Birds are all about being lightweight. Birds' beaks, birds' eyesight is amazing, and it's always geared toward what they do in the environment. The foot gear that they have, everything from a raptor to a duck, all different kinds of footwear they wear. You know, all designed specifically for the way that animal lives. And so birds are pretty amazing creatures, and that's kind of Birdie 101. We're going to take it up a little notch to birds of prey. So in the wild, what's a predator? Somebody tell me what a predator does. What does a predator do? Hunts, yes, hunts for prey. A predator hunts for other animals, kills them and eats them. That's what they do to earn a living out there. So that's what a bird of prey is. A bird of prey is some animal, a bird that kills other animals and eats them to survive. Are all birds birds of prey? No. Not even close, no. That beautiful scarlet tanager I was talking about, or a beautiful red cardinal. Is that a bird of prey? Not at all, no. Cardinals though, I know they're a year-round bird here. They really don't migrate. They don't go anywhere. They're here all the time. To me, I consider a cardinal a winter bird. Just because there's nothing more beautiful than a cardinal sitting on a snowy branch in the wintertime. I love it. What's our favorite springtime bird in the world? What does it mean when spring is here, who do we see? Robins. Are robins birds of prey? Are you sure?
All birds are birds.
Yes, they hunt for worms. Worms are animals. Bugs and insects are animals. Yes, a robin's a type of bird of prey. Well, that's not something we learn.
So is your cardinal. Your cardinal also.
At times of the year, yes. Certain times of the year, almost every bird that exists, other than some of the passerines, the pigeons and birds like that, but almost every bird in the environment at some time during their life is a bird of prey. When mom and dad hummingbird have little babies in the nest, they don't feed them nectar to help them grow up. They're feeding them bugs. That's the best grow-up food there is. So yeah, hummingbirds are hunters too. Kind of cool. You know, so woodpeckers, penguins are birds of prey. Great blue herons. You know, they're killing fish and frogs and snails and things to make a living. Those are all birds of prey. If I said, before what I just told you about all these birds that we don't think of, if I would have just said when you came in, name me a type of bird of prey, what would you have said? Hawks. What else?
Eagles.
Owls, eagles, falcons. Yes! That's what we've been taught our whole lives. These are birds of prey. And they are. But there are many, many birds of prey. The difference between the birds that we are taught are birds of prey and what all the birds of prey are, that penguin, that great blue heron, the robin, what is the tool they use to hunt for their food? What do robins catch worms with? Their beaks, yes. Great blue herons use their beaks. Woodpeckers use their beaks. Penguins use their beaks. The birds that you told me were birds of prey, what's their tool for hunting? Yeah, I love it, everybody. Yes, they use their talons. That makes them a raptor. So there are birds of prey and then there are raptors. And a raptor is a bird of prey that hunts with their feet.
Ah,
And that term, raptor, one who grasps or seizes.
ah.
If I have, it's a little Latin word, if I have your rapt attention, I have gotten a hold of it. I have grasped it. So that's where the term raptor comes from. Our very first raptor is going to be out to meet you in just a moment. And so when I was picking what birds were coming to this migratory bird celebration today, I wanted birds that are on the move a lot. And so we didn't bring Radar, our barred owl, with us today. Barred owls live in an environment that sometimes could be 5-10 acres. Barred owls are little homebodies. They're the opposite of a migratory bird. They rarely go out of their little territory. They have their perfect little niche that they live in and they never leave. You know, lots of birds are like that, but we pick birds that are kind of little road warriors and move around a lot. And birds will migrate for two different primary reasons. Birds will migrate because they lose the food resources in the wintertime or summertime, or they will migrate because they're not cold tolerant. And that's primarily the two reasons why birds migrate. Now, I don't know if you guys, we're from up in Door County. We have robins in Door County many years all winter long. Nobody's paying attention to me. Is there a red-tailed hawk behind me? Okay, I'm just checking. Come on forward, Tony. So, you know, I don't know if you knew it. We have robins many years in Door County all winter long. Robins are very cold-tolerant birds. They don't migrate because they can't stand the temperatures. They migrate because they usually can't find food once we get snow depths that get deeper and deeper. Door County is filled with naturally food-producing habitats that robins can utilize. You ever spend much time in Door County and you go out for a walk in Land Trust lands or Nature Conservancy or come out to Open Door Bird Sanctuary and hike our trails out there, you will see junipers everywhere. They are full of juniper berries. Robins love them in the wintertime if they're not buried under the snow. Wisconsin wild grape, fox grape we call it, lots of it in Door County. And if they can't find fruits and berries, robins will often go along the shore of the lake and turn stones to find bugs underneath. If the lake shore isn't completely frozen over. So robins can survive in that cold weather. We have a bird along today that is a fully migratory bird because they are not cold tolerant. It's a bird that could get food up here all the time, but they can't take the cold temperatures. So that's the reasons that birds migrate. So this awesome bird that Tony has with him right now, this is Buddy, and Buddy is a red-tailed hawk. All of you guys probably know just what kind of bird that is, and when Tony walks around, if you get a little back view of that bird, you'll see where they get their name, red-tailed hawk. They are a beautiful, beautiful specimen and easily identified by that beautiful tail that they have. The red-tailed hawk is the most common hawk in all of North America. And it's one of the most widely distributed hawks in the entire world. Red-tailed hawks live from coast to coast in North America, Canada, all the way down to South America. Northern parts of South America has red-tailed hawks. And our red-tailed hawks here in Door County, and we're all used to seeing them here in the Midwest, kind of out in farm country and that. Our red-tailed hawks are semi-migratory. We have red-tailed hawks that live here in one area all year round. We have red-tailed hawks that go from Door County down to northern Illinois and spend the winter there. We have red-tailed hawks that come from the UP and come to Door County and spend the winter. So they, excuse me, they kind of do this little leapfrog migration if they choose to move. You know, red-tailed hawks are not a bird that'll go from Door County down to Padre Island down in Texas to spend the winter, or down to the coast of Louisiana or Florida. Don't go that far, but some of them will get that little wanderlust in the fall and head south a ways and hang out and come back north again. So sort of semi-migratory. But amazing creatures. Red-tailed hawks to me are just one of my favorite raptors, because I think birds that are or animals that are very specific in what they do are kind of cool. But to me, the ability to survive anything that gets put in front of them is what makes these red-tailed hawks so special. You look at a bird like Buddy, you know, like I said, we're used to seeing red-tailed hawks out in farm country here in the Midwest. You know, you drive up and down I-43 or 42 or anywhere we go, and you'll see red-tailed hawks all along the sides of the road, watching for critters down below. And that's where we're used to seeing them. But one of the things that makes red-tailed hawks so cool, red-tailed hawks live in deep forests. Red-tailed hawks live in the high desert. They live in the mountains. They live in suburban areas, country areas. They live in deep urban areas. New York, Chicago, Milwaukee, Madison, every major city in North America has red-tailed hawks that live right in the city. They're one of the most versatile birds that are out there. These red-tailed hawks will eat just about anything that they can catch. They will live virtually anywhere. To me, that makes them successful. To me, that is something to admire them for, how successful they are. So they're amazing, amazing creatures. And I don't know, any of you, are there any like really bird geeks here that know the scientific name of a red-tailed hawk? I'll help you. Their scientific name is Buteo jamaicensis. Buteo means broad-winged. That's what type of hawk they are. Jamaicensis indicates the first area that these red-tailed hawks were cataloged and identified. Thank you, Tony and Buddy. So that's the first place. Caribbean, Jamaica, down in that area. We don't think of our farmland red-tailed hawks being down on the tropical islands of the Caribbean, but they are. And for a kid from Wisconsin going down to vacation in the tropics on a wonderful vacation I had, and seeing a pair of red-tailed hawks nesting on a palm tree on a tropical island, it's just weird. It's not something I expected. You talk about versatility and things like that. We're used to these red-tailed hawks here in our area. They're mammal hunters. Anything in a fur coat, squirrels, bunnies, stuff like that, that's what red-tailed hawks like to eat. Well, nobody wears fur coats down in the Caribbean on tropical islands. You know, they don't have bunnies and squirrels and stuff down on those islands. What they do have are lizards. Red-tailed hawks down in the Caribbean are almost exclusively lizard hunters. Talk about a versatile animal. They're amazing, amazing animals. And to me, that makes red-tailed hawks just a really cool critter. All right, we are going to shift gears now. We're going to go to another semi-migratory bird. And come on up and hang with me for a minute, B. So this next bird you guys are going to get a chance to meet is a beautiful little falcon by the name of an American kestrel. And American kestrels as well are a semi-migratory bird. Here in Door County, like if you drive around Door County right now and get out in the country roads and watch the power lines along the roadways, if you, in 30 minutes driving, if you haven't seen at least a half a dozen kestrels, you ain't looking right. Those little falcons are all over right now. You can drive through Door County anywhere around here in Algoma in this area, in the wintertime, see a few kestrels, but not a lot. Most kestrels head south, and they'll kind of do that little leapfrog thing like the red tails do, just transition areas a little bit. Some of the kestrels will stay in their winter territories all winter long to help preserve the territory from ones coming back in the spring. And because a kestrel, one of the things that makes them a really weird little falcon is they're cavity nesters. Most falcons like to nest out in the wide open spaces. Peregrine falcons nest on the side of a cliff, for heaven's sakes. You know, clear air in front of them and above them and all around them. These little kestrels are cavity nesters. Well, a nest cavity is a precious thing. There are not many of them out there. So that's why a lot of those kestrels, one of the pair, will stay right near that nest cavity all winter to make sure that it's theirs come spring when it's time to reproduce. Very, very, very important for these little kestrels to do. And hopefully their mate will return and join them, but if they've got a territory and they've got a nest cavity preserved, if their mate's not back, there's always somebody else in line ready to go. And because nest cavities are a very, very crucial part. She looks pretty comfortable, Bee, if you want to take her around for people to meet. So this is the smallest falcon in all of North America. And there are things that make falcons very, very special. You know, there are falcon things that we know this is a falcon. As Bee is bringing this bird around, little Ginger, look at her eyes, very big. Not Bee's, Ginger's, the little falcon. Ginger's got very big eyes. That's a falcon thing. For the most part, falcons are hunters that utilize speed and nothing but pure speed for their hunting style. Kestrels are a little different, but they've still got all the falcon traits anyhow. She has a very streamlined body. Again, to generate tremendous amounts of speed. Kestrels have long, pointed wings. That little bird that Bee is bringing around for you to meet, her wingspan is 22 inches.
Wow.
Almost 2 feet.
Wow.
Very, very long,
Really?
pointed wings. Yeah, each one of her wings is 9 to 10 inches long. Plus her little body in between. Yes?
Picture of a kestrel from Arizona in February eating a lizard up in a tree.
Oh, cool.
And it's hanging down. What is that hanging down?
Yes.
When I focused in on it, it was a lizard.
They're very much, yeah, kestrels are very much opportunistic feeders. Now, virtually every falcon in the world, their primary food source are birds. That's what falcons, by and large, hunt for. They're bird hunters. But aside from being cavity nesters, that makes kestrels kind of weird. Kestrels are not bird hunters, by and large, either. Kestrels are mousers. So they've taken this tangent away from all the other falcons and went, you know what? Chasing birds at 100 miles an hour is way too much work. We're going to switch our lifestyle and we're going to start going after mice. And their bodies evolved to become these tremendous mouse hunters. As Bee brings Ginger around for you to meet, and when you're moving around, Bee, if you'd like to open up your arm a little bit so they can see her front and things like that too. When Bee brings Ginger around, and watch out for the cord here if you're coming through, take a look at Ginger's feet. She does not have falcon feet, and I'm going to prove that with in the next bird you see. I'm going to prove that this bird does not have falcon feet. Falcon feet are amazingly large relative to the size of the bird. Ginger has very normal looking feet. She basically has not falcon feet, but she has little tiny hawk feet that are designed for catching mammals, not for catching other birds. The next falcon you're going to see after Ginger here is a typical falcon, about the same size as this one, but watch her feet and then watch the next one's feet, because it'll show you what the difference is. So these guys have little miniature hawk feet, which are designed for catching mammals, not other birds. And So again, that's what makes these kestrels different from other falcons. And one other thing that makes them tremendously different, so how do you tell a boy bird from a girl bird? What's the easiest way to tell?
Color.
Color, yeah. Male cardinal, female cardinal, easy to tell, even on some of the harder birds, like some of the woodpeckers. You know, the male usually has a little red hash mark on his head and the female doesn't. You know, there are identifying characteristics. In the world of raptors, there's no differentiation between a male and female red-tailed hawk, a male and female great horned owl. I could give the birds in our sanctuary a close physical examination. I couldn't tell you if it's a boy or girl. There's no little feathers I can pick up to see if it's male or female. There just isn't. The only way we know a boy from a girl, well, if a bird has an egg, we know it's a girl. But the only other way we would know is if we have a blood draw done and a DNA test from the blood. It's the only way we can tell if it's a male or a female. Kestrels, boys and girls, are completely different colors, like songbirds. It's incredibly rare in the world of raptors, where a male and female are different colors. But we know this is a beautiful little girl kestrel because of the amazing color patterns that she has on her. And one other thing, go ahead, Tony. One other thing I'm going to point out on this little kestrel, look right below her eyes. See those black stripes below her eyes? That's called a malar stripe. Every single falcon in the world has those dark lines under their eyes. I'm going to tell you why when the next bird comes out to meet you. Thanks, Bee. Thanks, Ginger. All right, so we're going to stay in the world of the fast and the furious with our next bird. And we've got another cool falcon for you to meet. We are getting into true migration time now. This is a male merlin. This is the second of the three falcons that you can see right in this area. Merlins are common here, spring, summer, and fall. Not on the chair, there you go. Good job, Tony. Last thing I want is one of our visitors sitting in bird poop on a chair. So this merlin, our merlins are here spring, summer, and fall. This is a stereotypical falcon. Remember Ginger's feet? Ginger's about the same size as Percy here is. His feet are at least twice as big as hers. Gigantic compared to the size of his body. And the reason that he has these big giant feet is because he truly is, as a typical falcon, a bird hunter. That's what merlins do for a living. They hunt for other birds, they catch them and they eat them. That's what they do. They don't catch birds on the ground. They don't catch birds on tree branches. They catch birds in midair. They run them down in midair. A falcon like a merlin is a medium speed falcon. They can only do 100 to 120 miles an hour. That's medium speed. Thanks to our friend the peregrine falcon, that's what makes these guys medium speed. Peregrine falcons are the fastest creatures that exist. They can hit speeds over 200 miles an hour. So that's what makes little Percy here a medium speed falcon.
Hayabusa, isn't that a fast, am I mistaken, in a fast falcon too? Or?
Oh, there are, but none of them go faster than the peregrine. Yeah, peregrine is the fastest creature that exists. And and so these guys, only being medium speed falcons, they can only do 100, 120 miles an hour, but they have special tools. You know, their bodies are just covered with tightly knit feathers. Their wing feathers are very hard and very stiff. You know, that's to generate speed when they're flying. Long, pointed wings, like their wings are like a fighter jet plane. And I have a falcon wing over on the table over here. After our program, stop by and take a look at it. It does, they're shaped like a little fighter jet plane wing. So they're designed for pure speed. Falcons, and that's why they have such big eyes. They're catching birds on the wing. Their hearing is good, but it's not great. If you're catching flying birds, who cares if you can hear them? It's all about the eyesight, so they have big eyes to really focus on their prey. So remember I was talking about those, what are those stripes called underneath Ginger's eyes? Malar stripes. Good, yes, those are called malar stripes. Now, Merlins like this are a woodland falcon. So he has a very dark color palette to him. His feathers are very dark for a falcon. These are one of the darker falcons that are around. As you see the back of his tail, he's growing his new tail for the year. They get a whole new set of feathers every year. You can see some of the short new tail feathers growing in, which is kind of cool. But these Merlins have very dark overall color patterns in their feathers, but still, look underneath Percy's eyes, you will see, it almost looks like little tear stains. You'll see those dark lines under his eyes. Those malar stripes that every falcon in the world has are worn by them for the same reason that baseball players and football players put black stripes under their eyes. It cuts the sun's glare. We humans figured, hey, we're so darn smart. About 100 years ago, we figured out when we started playing the game of baseball, if you want to catch a tiny little object in midair, and it's going really fast, and it's a bright sunny day, if you smear black stuff around your eyes, it cuts the sun's glare and you can see better. Mother Nature put that on every single falcon tens of thousands of years ago. Those little malar stripes they have under their eyes. And they're not the only speed animals that have it. Next time you see a picture of a cheetah, jet black stripes under those eyes. Those are malar stripes on a cheetah. And it helps cut the sun's glare so that they can do their job a little better in the wild. So birds that an awesome little Merlin like this might hunt for, anybody smaller than him. Chickadees and sparrows and all those little guys, they are the ones that could be the next meal for a little Merlin like this. Thanks, Tony. Thanks, Percy. So we are going to switch gears about as far as we can switch gears. So if I said, what kind of raptor might be the exact opposite of a falcon, what would you think it would be? Not a speed hunter, a stealth hunter, not a daytime bird, a nighttime bird. Owl, yes. So we did bring an owl along for you guys to meet today.
Oh.
And it's kind of a special one to meet. This next bird you're going to meet is a long-eared owl.
Ah.
And although we do have long-eared owls in Wisconsin, we have a few of them, not a ton of them in Wisconsin. Long-eared owls are primarily a bird of southern Canada, but we do have some long-eared owls here in this area. So this is kind of a special treat to get to see a long-eared owl. And long-eared owls rarely are good education candidates. Rarely are long-eared owls real comfortable hanging out with people. We just ended up getting this wonderful special little bird that is very, very comfortable. He has taken very well to his interactions with us and his training and things like that. So he's a wonderful education bird. Just likes hanging around with us, very comfortable on the glove. His name is Forrest, and he is being brought to you today by Amy. And so these long-eared owls, remember I said kestrels were very odd falcons, very different from the rest of the falcons? These long-eared owls are kind of like that in the world of owls. So when Amy brings Forrest around, one of the things that's very unique about these long-eared owls, look at the length of his wings. His wings go way down past the tip of his tail. That is weird for owls. Most owls have kind of short, rounded wings. They're just glide down and grab their food. When a long-eared owl opens their wings at full wingspan, they have a silhouette almost like a gull. Long, pointed wings. Very long-eared owls are very aerodynamic birds. And so these long-eared owls, when they hunt, it's not what we think of as typical owl, that whole perch and pounce hunting style. Because that's what most owls do. They perch and they pounce. But these long-eared owls hunt while they're flying. These guys hunt on the wing. And so they have the ability to fly over a little meadow. And they're almost exclusively mousers. They have the ability to fly over a prairie, a meadow, a little field area. They can hear a mouse down on the ground while they're flying over. It's incredible the hearing they have. So they're not hunting with their eyes, they're hunting with their ears. Their hearing is that sensitive. And so as Amy brings Forrest around, remember how Percy had gigantic feet? These long-eared owls have huge feet relative to the size of their body. And it's not because they're catching birds in midair, it's because they're catching prey that they can't see. When you're catching something that is a sound only, the bigger your feet are, the better chance you have of catching it. Because they're not looking at the mouse when they grab it, they're catching a sound. But very, very accurate, very, very good, strong hunters that way. So, technically speaking, long-eared owls don't migrate. But long-eared owls don't have a territory either. So it's one of the reasons Forrest came today. Long-eared owls are nomads. They spend their entire life traveling around. A long-eared owl will cover hundreds of miles over their lifetime. Not in migration, just going from place to place to place. They're little road warriors. And they don't do it alone. These guys travel in groups. And that's what makes long-eared owls kind of different too, because virtually all raptors are very antisocial. You know, for a great horned owl, another great horned owl is not your friend, that's your enemy. One red-tailed hawk, another red-tailed hawk is not your friend, that's your enemy. That's your competition, not your pal. These little long-eared owls have friends. They travel in groups. Anywhere from 3 to 5, 7, 10, 12 long-eared owls at a time will travel around together in their little rogue band. And those crazy birder people that are out there, if they spot a long-eared owl in the wild, they know, keep looking, because there's probably going to be more around in that environment. And so again, that makes these long-eared owls just these really different kind of little owls, that not your typical owl with the behaviors that they show, which to me makes them a really cool little bird. And that term long-eared, well, they have long ear tufts, not long ears. Those little ear tufts on top of their head really don't have anything at all to do with their ears. They help them with a little bit of camouflage. It breaks up the outline of their head. You know, on a great horned owl, they call them horns. They're not horns either. What those little ear tufts do on top of their head. So I'm going to take a shot in the dark here. And I'm going to guess that at least 7 out of 10 of you are going to raise your hand when I ask this question. How many of you know what a mood ring is? Be honest. Be honest. There we go. She has one. There's one. So, a mood ring. Those little ear tufts are mood rings for an owl. They use those little ear tufts to show their personality and their disposition to the other owls around them. So right now, little Forrest is just kind of relaxed, and his little ear tufts are just jaunty, kind of halfway back. he was very curious about something or really fascinated looking at something, his little ear tufts would be straight up and down on his head. If little Mr. Forrest here, and if you want to get him back to his carrier, so you can get a little warm. Mr. Forrest comes back to the nest very late one morning, and Mrs. Forrest has been waiting for him all night, and he shows up without any food. Little Mrs. Forrest has her ear tufts flat down on her head. And Mr. Forrest knows he ain't getting any that day. That's how they communicate with each other. Yeah, so like a dog pins their ears back, or a horse or a cat, you know if a dog's got his ears back, don't pet that dog. He's not real happy right now. Owls are the same way with those little ear tufts. If they're just pinned down flat on their head, they're upset about something. So it's kind of how they communicate with other owls that way. All right. I am going to wander over and get out the last bird that we have brought for you guys to meet. And it's the only bird at Open Door Bird Sanctuary that is not a raptor. It's a meat eater, and it's a fully predatory bird, fully migratory, meat eater, but not really a hunter. Any guesses?
Vulture.
There you go. Nice, yes. This is our kind of red finesse bird here.
Yes, they do really nice.
There we go. So, this adorable bird this is Amber, and Amber is our resident turkey vulture. And to me, look alive down there. To me, a turkey vulture and a bird like Amber really is the apex of what we can do educationally at Open Door Bird Sanctuary. I don't have to convince anybody to like owls. Everybody loves falcons and everybody loves eagles. You know, vultures get a pretty bad rap from us humans. And if I did a little survey when you all walked in and I said, each of you tell me one word that describes a vulture, I would hear things like ugly and stupid and smelly and gross and filthy. You know, lots of very negative comments about vultures. I can assure you, none of those are true. Vultures are incredibly clean animals. They basically, if they're not eating, they're cleaning themselves because of their lifestyle. They are birds that, they're scavengers. They dig into carcasses. They crawl in there. They don't like old rotten meat. That's how they find their food, but they don't like it rotten. They go inside the carcass to get the meat that's been preserved, that's fresher inside. That's why they crawl in there. So they get gross stuff on their feathers. They're cleaning constantly. People say these things are stinky. Amber does not smell bad. They don't have this horrible smell to them or anything. Should we walk? Should we walk? They are not smelly birds. These guys are very, very clean, extremely intelligent. Vultures are highly, highly intelligent birds. Amber is the smartest bird at our sanctuary by 100 times, and it's not even close.
Huh.
Very intelligent. In fact, Amber is a bird that at Open Door Bird Sanctuary, we have worked with her and done some flight training with her. When she is in peak training, we free fly her, meaning we can let her go out and fly around, give a little cue on our glove like this, and we'll come flying back down to the glove. And so Amber, when we started working with her, she came to our sanctuary very late during one year. It was end of October or November, and when she came to live at our sanctuary, it was cold out already. And these vultures are fully migratory animals. And so we did not have a chance to really do any outdoor work with her when she first arrived. And so we couldn't really work with her until spring of that year. And it took from her very first flight training session until her first free flight, when I let her go and she flew over to Amy, my wife, and landed on Amy's glove, was 6 weeks. That's how fast she was trained for free flight, which is just amazing. And as I bring her around and the light hits her a little differently as we walk around, people say vultures are ugly black birds. She is nothing of the sort. Did you see her feathers? There are blues and purples and iridescent colors on her feathers, rust colors, browns, blacks. They have quite beautiful feathers. Now, yes, they have a face that maybe only a mother could love. But, that whole kind of bald head thing for them is, it's just nature's way of helping them keep their head clean. The head is the hardest thing for a bird to keep clean, and for a vulture, it's the first thing that digs down into the carcass. So it just makes it much easier for them to keep clean that way. And many of you ever seen vultures out sunning themselves? On top of a barn or a fence post or something? Vultures do that for hours at a time. Not because they're vain and they're trying to get a tan or anything like that. Vultures do that. It serves a very important, very critical part of their cleanliness. Because of their lifestyle, where are you going, Wiggles? Because of their lifestyle, they are very prone to parasites and bacteria and things like that being on them. And so when they sun themselves, their feathers are designed by nature to absorb the ultraviolet rays and the heat from the sun. Their feathers will warm to such a degree it'll drive parasites right off their body. That's how it helps them stay clean, that sunning behavior. So just amazing creatures, and I waited to tell you this last part because I didn't want any of you getting kind of wiggy out there when I was walking around with Amber. So when a vulture finds something to eat, dead deer or something laying out there, and oh, jackpot, all the food I want. Sometimes, because a vulture is just designed to eat and eat and eat, hi, are you cleaning me? Because they are designed to eat everything they can when they get the opportunity, a vulture will often eat so much that they are too heavy to fly. Well, that's kind of dangerous.
Yeah.
You know, if you're hanging out by a dead deer that you found, chances are somebody else might find it too. Coyotes and foxes and wolves and other scavenger animals and stuff. And now here you are sitting on the ground right next to this dead deer, and Mr. Coyote comes along and says, you know what? Dead deer, fresh vulture. I'm going to have fresh vulture. And you can't fly away. Big trouble. So vultures will do a few different things. They will make themselves look huge and open up their 6-foot wingspan and stand up tall and puff out their feathers to try and discourage that coyote from coming any closer. Well, if that display doesn't work, they'll start vocalizing. They will grunt, they will hiss, they will make all kinds of these kind of creepy sounds to try and chase that coyote away. Coyote, if he keeps advancing, they've got one final line of defense. Projectile vomiting. And sometimes they'll do it when they're startled. That's why I didn't say anything before I brought it around. I thought, if somebody gets it, it's just going to be a surprise. I don't want to worry. No, and these vultures are extremely accurate, 8 to 10 feet away. Projectile vomiting, and they aim for faces. So if you think of what's in a dead animal that goes into a vulture, and then what comes out of the vulture at projectile speed, no, it's nasty. I mean, vulture vomit would take the paint off the hood of your viewing. I mean, it's nasty stuff. But what that does is it accomplishes two tasks in their defense mechanism. A, chances are it's going to chase that coyote off because it's hideous. B, if it doesn't, they just lighten their load. Now, if they need to escape, they can take off and fly. A couple other kind of cool things about these vultures, and one of the things that, you know, as we learn about and see birds of prey and animals in general in movies and TV programs and documentaries, wake up, and stuff like that. A lot of the stuff we see and we learn is made up or grossly exaggerated to tell a story or something like that. One of the things that's really true about these vultures that we've been seeing for years and years and years is that whole vulture circling thing over that something dead down on the ground. And that wasn't something invented by Western writers to tell us where the dead cowboy was in the desert. No, that's a real thing. Vultures really do that. And vultures are highly social creatures, very much the opposite of most raptors. Raptors are solitary. These guys, very, very cultural birds. They have, there's a big rouse. That's called a rouse, and when a bird does that, you know they're very comfortable. A bird that's in distress or upset won't ever rouse like that. So that's a good sign. You're feeling good, aren't you? And so yeah, that whole circling thing, because they live in these big flocks or these big groups, when there's something down on the ground, and it is something that a vulture like this will smell. They're one of the few birds in the world that has a highly developed sense of smell. Most birds have no sense of smell. These guys have a really good one. They'll smell something down on the ground and they're like, I should go check that out. But I don't want to go alone because it's too dangerous. So what they do is they start making a huge circle. Could be a half mile across over whatever it is that they want to go down and investigate. That circle is so big that other vultures, sometimes a couple miles away, will see them circling. And they're like, hey, Fred found something, let's go. And they will join that first vulture in the circle over whatever it is they want to go. The more vultures they have, the smaller the circle gets. That's the signal to the other vultures around, hey, we've almost got enough birds here to go down and investigate. A couple other vultures join the circle, gets very small, it's kind of like a little tornado. One at a time then, the vultures come circling their way down to the ground because there's safety in numbers. If you're going to investigate or you're going to crawl inside of a carcass to eat something, very vulnerable time of your life, but by working in a society like that and having the intelligence to organize and gather together, somebody's eating, somebody's keeping watch, somebody's defending the area, somebody's still airborne. You know, all of those things help these guys stay safe. And so yeah, that whole circling thing, not something made up by somebody just to make a cool scene in a movie. It's a real thing that vultures do. So thanks again, all of you, for coming out and joining us here in Algoma. Thanks for everyone that's putting this together. It's a lot of work to put together an event like this, and so you know, the bird committees and bird city people here in Algoma and everybody that works on this Migratory Bird Festival is just thank you to all of you. Thanks for having Open Door Bird Sanctuary come out, and thanks for all of you for supporting and joining us this wonderful day with us. I'm going to go over and hang out a little bit over here. We have a little time. Yes?
So let's say that a vulture goes and starts eating on an animal that's got some nasty disease like rabies. Why does the vulture not get sick?
We don't know. So the question was, you know, why there are horrible, nasty diseases that will kill many animals out in the environment, one after another after another. If one of those animals croaks and a vulture finds it and eats it, they consume the carcass, it completely goes away, they eat the bones, they eat everything, and actually cleanse that in their system. They don't get the disease, it doesn't make them sick, it doesn't come out in their poop, it doesn't kill them, anything, and it stops right there. Now there are some diseases that are not, the term for it is zoonotic, where it won't transfer from a bird to a mammal or a mammal to a bird. There are some diseases like that although they wouldn't get it anyhow, they're still saving a lot of other animals' lives by coming in contact with that original dead animal. But there are diseases that will jump species and jump types of animals from mammals to birds to other animals that still don't affect these vultures. And they don't know why. They've been doing some different studies, they've had some theories, they have yet to prove any of them yet. So they're not quite sure why, but yeah, aside from keeping our environment cleaner and healthier, these guys are also saving the lives of a lot of other animals out there by stopping that chain of disease. Yeah.
I saw a vulture once take a plunge into the water, right next to the shoreline, but down into the water. Do they eat fish?
They will scavenge on fish.
They will.
As far as hunting, I don't believe they will hunt, because I don't know of any vultures that actively pursue any live animals, even if they're almost dead. So yeah, what you witnessed is hard to explain, but in nature, I never say nothing's impossible, or never say anything is impossible. So yeah, it's possibility that you know, they might have been eating something on shore and a wave took it out and it sunk, you know, a foot down under the water, and they knew where it was and just decided to maybe, I'm going to give this one shot to try and go in and get it and drag it back up on shore. You never know. You know, sometimes weird things happen out in nature. All right, I'm going to hang out over here with Amber for just a moment or two, and please, if you'd like, come over and see some of the neat stuff we got on the table. Golf clap.